Hey now, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of IoT Nuggets with IoT Group. I'm Doug Cohen with M10 Social. I am joined by my co-host, the illustrious Mr. Steve Brummer from IoT Group.
Yay, thank you for the one round of applause that I got.
You are most welcome. I think the guests might be a little shell-shocked. No,
yeah. Aren't most of the guests that come on, Doug, shell-shocked at us?
I think, you know what? That's part of the approach here.
Yeah, it's the mass appeal of wanting to be on IoT Nuggets.
Absolutely. We shock them into great content. And as a matter of fact, let's talk about them a little bit. We've got a couple of folks from Simetric here today. The website is Simetric.com, and we are joined by Mr. Kevin Bandy, the Chief Strategy Officer of Simetric, as well as Mr. Alan Boone, the CEO of Simetric. So we're going to get into them a little bit in a second here. I also want to make mention BHIOTgroup.com is the website, and you can reach out to them. Mr. Steve Brummer, John Hubler, and the crew there can have a 30-minute consultation with you to talk about your IoT deployment and what your strategy could look like. So take them up on that. And having said all that, let's jump into it. Simetric is a leading provider in SIM management, and they can do some really impressive things, including usage profiles for all devices globally under a single pane of glass. Very interesting stuff. I'm going to pass this on to Steve, and we'll start off with Alan to talk a little bit about the Simetric story and what they're doing. Steve?
Oh, that's a great setup. Wow, why am I here? That was great. Oh, God. Hey, Alan and Kevin, great to have you on the show. Appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Yeah,
so, Alan, give us a quick, elevator pitch on the company. I know we kind of gave that description, but I know there's more under the cover. So give us an elevator pitch on Simetric.
Yeah, just at the core of it, when companies are doing IoT deployments using the cellular network, it's really difficult to use just one carrier. And all the carriers have created these self-service portals to be able to operate with, to manage your own environment. But the problem is when you have 5, 6, 7, 8 carriers, it's really unwieldy. The platforms are fairly industrial. And so what Simetric has done is brought it all together, single way of operating, single way of engaging, get lots of great data that you can take action on. It turns a world of good data into something that's very actionable.
And Kevin, give us a sense of who's your clients, who's your customers, who's coming to you for help?
What's fascinating is when I go back to our time, both Alan and I spent some time at Cisco, and what you recognize is that everybody is running edge-related or IoT-related devices. The blessing for us is that we have customers that are coming to us through direct enterprise. We have carriers that are coming to us. We have channel partners that are coming to us. And the reason why, Steve, is that we're probably the most horizontal platform that's out there. And that is the wealth of opportunity that when we stepped away from Cisco, we set to solve, which was to unify visibility, just as Alan was saying, because without that visibility, it's hard to continue to progress to the edge.
And so you said you're a platform, but obviously there's a lot of different platform descriptions. And give us Alan, give us a sense of, when people are saying, "Oh, are you just another platform, or can you work with other platforms?" Because there's device management platforms and application platforms, all requiring that. So tell us about the ecosystem and how you handle that.
Yeah, so you can kind of think of us as almost, I hate to overuse the word platform, but a platform of platforms, right? So everyone has a way of managing SIMs. All the carriers have different ways of managing their SIMs through their platforms. We just really bring all those things together, and when they're together, you can do things like write business rules and business logic that cross all of the different carrier platforms in one go. And so that can be as simple as finding a device that starts roaming that's never roamed before, to as complex as putting things in the appropriate rate plans to ensure you've got the best cost structure.
And Kevin, when your title has strategy in it, and so I'm going to throw a strategy question. So where are you headed? Like, what are we looking at from Simetric down the road? The end of this year, next year, what are you thinking?
You know, I will tell you that first and foremost, our direct to enterprise was our first route to market that we really turned on. And Melody's team, who runs our revenue marketing activities, has been spectacular. But I would tell you the greatest opportunity, and probably where I work out in a little bit of ambiguity, but out in front trying to like partner with Melody, is Edge first is the most material trapped opportunity in business today. We've talked about cloud first for quite some time. We've talked about application first. But what you're really seeing is that when we jumped to cloud, we jumped over all of those trapped devices that are running at the edge, SIM-enabled routers through 5 billion devices that are sitting out there today with no standard. And so what you're really seeing is the consultancies come back and recognize that cloud first is not the opportunity, but edge first. And to everything Alan said about unified, ubiquitous global management in a single pane brings all of those devices under play. And the reason why I've raised that to you, Steve, and to think strategically is 5G is not another connectivity strategy. It's going to fundamentally be where you're going to move that compute towards the edge. And so why I say edge first is we are talking heavily about migration and managing migration of your install base to the promise of 5G. And that's what the consultancies are really liking about the value of Simetric.
And Alan, and to wrap this up, do you see, what change, 5G is coming down the pipe. We have all these other, discussions around more technology and more, video and capturing video around IoT and stuff. Can you tell us, when you look at Simetric and you look at the future, who's going to be the players that you're seeing involved with Simetric? I mean, you're playing with the carriers, obviously the MNOs around the country, around the world, actually. Are you seeing the growth coming from who?
Well, where you really see customers migrating to it, or how they're thinking about the world, is really this MSP relationship. And people that can not only manage the connectivity, but can also manage edge device replacement, strategies on supply chain, helping customers kind of determine where and how and when to migrate between those, moving 3G, 4G, 5G, and how it works together. And that is really the promised land about being able to manage this in a completely different way.
Do you handle non-SIM networks like satellites? And what's your thought about LoRa?
So we satellites for sure. We've migrated into that area and started some build out there. The other places that we kind of see a real fertile ground is once you actually discover the device through the cellular network, then you have access to the device itself. Right, and so there's this notion of where do you start doing true edge device management of the network components that are not from the cellular network but at the edge device.
Excellent. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of IoT Nuggets. Kevin, how do people get in touch with you guys?
Go directly to that website, www.simetric.com, and Melody's team will find you.
Excellent. Great. Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time. Enjoyed the conversation. And again, this is what it's all about, educating the audience on new ideas, new companies, people that have some really cool, disruptive, innovative technology. So thank you. Doug, back to you.
Thanks for having us, gentlemen.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Alan and Kevin. Great job, gentlemen. I think this was very valuable. Simetric's doing some great things, so make sure, everybody, that you do visit them at simetric.com. Make sure you go to bhiotgroup.com and take them up on the 30-minute consultation to start talking about your Internet of Things deployment and strategy. And we will be back. Well, I'm sorry.
I was going to say that when you fill in the form at Simetric.com and Melody is there, make sure you tell them you found them off of IoT Nuggets.
Absolutely, from IoT Nuggets. And make sure to get the rest of your nuggets on LinkedIn.
That's right. Go to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
That's right. So with that being said, thanks for joining once again. Thank you, gentlemen. And we will see you all next time on the next edition of IoT Nuggets.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.